Record for a 4-game series set back in 1990. Tied at 56. Clippers ball with 7:20 remaining. And Danny Manning gets the Clippers back on top. Manning now at 15.
Should be a lot of that right there with Stanley Roberts on the floor. Hakeem will become more freely to leave his defensive end to try for the block, so the layoff pass should work here.
Good feed from Kenny Smith to Otis Thorpe. Thorpe missing the basket, but he'll get a trip to the free throw line. As Manning fouled him his first. After a game 3, which saw the Clippers sending the Rockets to the foul line over and over again. That's only the 7th foul the Clippers have committed all night tonight.
Danny Manning, another Clipper that has spent a lot of time in this series in foul trouble. That's one reason, says Larry Brown, that his production offensively here has been down.
And a loose ball foul is going to be called on Hakeem Olajuwon. Rudy Tomjanovich furious.
I'll tell you what, there has to be a foul there. There is no way to get over top of the body of John Williams without making some kind of contact. That's a long way to go. Rudy argued it anyway.
Olajuwon's third personal. Clippers leading it by 1. 6:50 remaining in quarter number 3. Harper. Garland takes the steal. That leaves Harper uncovered. Ron Harper has 17. Clippers up by 3 again. Double team on Olajuwon. This time he beats it.
Well, he stepped through it that time. The double team came nowhere near as aggressively that time as it had been in this game.
Back to a 1-point game. 6:18 remaining, third quarter. Down low Williams. Back outside Kenny Norman. Has not been able to get that jump shot going throughout this series. Rockets can reclaim the lead. Otis Thorpe. And Otis Thorpe, who has 11 points on the night, has put the Rockets back on top, 61-60, and now the crowd going a little restless here.
Well, it's nice to have another player the Rockets can put down on the low post to take the pressure off of Olajuwon.
First time the Rockets have led in the game since it was 4-2 back in the first quarter.
A lot of shots in this game have come after this on a second or third shot thought by the Clippers. They're not letting it go in the flow.
Jackson on the run. Rockets do a pretty good job getting it back.
I mean, he didn't hesitate at all putting the ball up to the basket. The last time Kenny Norman has touched the ball, he took the shot, but you saw a couple pump fakes. He was wide open before the pump fakes got there.
Clippers up by 1, and over 5 to go in the third. Olajuwon. Again, that double team almost caused another turnover there.
Well, it makes a big difference with whom the Clippers come with the double team.
Now a 3-on-1. Jackson, no look to Kenny Norman. He has 11. The Clippers have built the lead back up to 3. Quickly on the other end. Whoa! Mark Jackson.
I think he's okay. Oh, man.
Wow-wee. I'll tell you what. Oh, boy. You get back on your feet after that, you're a lucky man.
And you deserve a break.
Really gotten seriously hurt on that spill. A little pinwheel move, but Mark Jackson's all right.
You'll see his feet get tangled up. Goes all the way over. Comes down on his hip, on his side. And boy, he steps right back up. Shakes it off.
Literally. We've got a timeout, or do we? No.
Oh, man.
They call it 20 just to give Mark Jackson a little time to clear out the cobwebs.
Looks a lot like the fall Scotty Brooks took.
That one looked worse to me.
That one looks even worse.
What they were concerned about was that stanchion. He almost went right into the stanchion that holds the basket. 64-61. Harper on the run again. Blocked by Robert Horry. Manning the rebound. Blocked by Hakeem Olajuwon. His 4th block.
Excellent defense. Came off the conversion by the Rockets.
Smith across to Horry. Horry double team. Gets it out to Hakeem. The double team comes over to him. He's going to fight his way through it. Give it off to Otis Thorpe. Thorpe gets the basket and got the foul. The fouls on Danny Manning, his second.
I didn't know that if the Rockets could look even better on offense than they did on that last defensive set. But the ball keeps moving, keeps the defense a step behind. Watch right here. Now the double team comes on Olajuwon. You have to do that. The good little scoop pass to Thorpe. The Clippers wanted to travel that time. He held his ground, got it to go.
And Thorpe completes the three-point play. He has 8 in the quarter, 14 in the game. We're tied again at 64. Just over 4 minutes to go in quarter number 3. Harper just inside the three-point circle. And a loose ball foul is going to be called underneath there. Kenny Smith complaining about it to Ron Garrison. But Kenny Smith has picked up his second. The third team foul.
It's good to see the Clippers this time try to get something going towards the basket. They got to the free throw line in the first half, have not gotten there here, and once again they fumble away the pass.
That's only the 4th turnover, though, by the Clippers, who have been very good controlling the ball tonight.
Vernon Maxwell with the warm-up off for the first time tonight. We'll check in at the next break.
See his first action, next dead ball. Garland, top of the circle. Having a fine third quarter. Winston Garland, 6 points in the quarter, 8 in the game. Rockets up by 2 now.
Well, as Olajuwon gets more active offensively, the double team has to come more aggressively by the Clippers. That leaves people open around the perimeter. They made a lot of those shots in Game 3 and Game 1. They're starting to make them here.
Swinging around to Danny Manning. He'll take the jumper over Otis Thorpe. No. Stanley Roberts coming into the rebound. Is going to be whistled for his second personal. And here comes Vernon Maxwell, who missed the final 3 games of the regular season and the first 3 games of this series. You see that cast on his left wrist. He broke the navicular bone, and we took a close-up shot of it before the game. And that's an injury that normally keeps a player out 4 to 6 weeks. He's back after only 2 weeks. He said that wouldn't be the case, except it's his left wrist, which he doesn't use very much.
Well, that thumb very much exposed. Should a fast pass come at Vernon Maxwell? That's the best way, he says, for him to fill the basketball, to get good touch on it. And he is anxious to go.
He's been able to practice each of the last 2 days after getting clearance from the Houston doctors. Olajuwon makes them both. He has 20. It's a 68-64 Rockets lead. Rockets trailing for most of this game have gotten it going here in the third quarter. Jackson into the paint. Short jumper good by Mark Jackson. His first field goal tonight, only his 3rd point.
Well, that's the shot he's been taking a lot. He's taking them from right there in the paint. That's the first one he's been able to get to go down.
Houston by 2 now. And Hakeem Olajuwon. Pushed out by Danny Manning. And that's the 3rd foul on Danny Manning. Houston will call a timeout here. We've got 2:47 remaining in the third. The Rockets trying to wrap up this series tonight, leading it by 2.
Choosing your first new car sure can be complicated. There are cars that promise you safety.
It's 2:47 left in the third quarter. Let's take a look at tonight's Chevy scoreboard. And in a game that you saw earlier tonight on TNT, that one you'll see that finish for years. Alonzo Mourning's buzzer-beating basket wins the series for the Charlotte Hornets. Cleveland now up 2-1 over New Jersey. And San Antonio up 2-1 over Portland. We will have Game 4 in that series for you on Friday night here on TNT. Mark Jackson back in the lineup.
I don't know how he was able to get up from this fall. Let's take another look at it right here. Goes up for the block attempt. Goes over, falls down, and just barely misses the basket support. And he gets up, shakes it off, and he is okay.
And as we resume, it's Hakeem Olajuwon at the line. His first miss from the free throw line tonight. He's now 4 of 5. He has 20 points in the game. 15 rebounds already for Hakeem Olajuwon tonight. And 4 block shots. Typical night at the office.
Just another night.
69-66 Rockets. Clippers led it by 3 at the end of the first quarter, by 4 at the half. The Rockets having an excellent third quarter here. Stanley Roberts. There's block number 5 by Hakeem Olajuwon, but Lester Connor got it and puts it home. And he has now tied that series record for a 4-game series, his own record, set back in 1990.
Well, even though Olajuwon got that shot, I still think the Clippers need to continue to go inside to try to draw the double team. That's the guy they have to stop defensively, because he will continue to knock that three-point shot down. Pressure does not come.
He's taken 3. Matt Bullard has, and he's made all 3 of them. 72-68. Rockets by 4 under 2 minutes to go now in the third. Jackson works his way into the paint, off the glass for 2 more. And he's come to life with a couple of jumpers in the paint in this third quarter. 5 points tonight for Jackson, a 2-point Rockets lead.
Jackson would like to get in there and try to knock a shot away, to try to draw the double team and kick something off.
3-on-2 break. Jackson's going to keep it. Couldn't get it to fall. Vernon Maxwell picks up the loose ball. Explodes toward the basket. He'll get the basket and go to the free throw line. Vernon Maxwell is back.
That will make that hand feel a whole lot better very quickly. You'll see him right here get the fast break opportunity. The Clippers blew an opportunity on the other end of the floor, and that gave the Rockets the numbers coming the other way. There's the foul and the chance for the three-point play.
Kenny Norman called for his second. Vernon Maxwell averaged 14 points a game during the regular season. He too can shoot it from out in three-point land. And a pretty good defender to boot. He has his first 3 of the game, and it's 75-70.
Yeah.
Biggest lead for Houston tonight.
As much as you want to say about Vernon Maxwell on the offensive end, what he gives the Rockets defensively, even more important, creates a lot of shots because of his defense.
And the ball belongs to Houston. With 1:05 to go in the third. Rudy Tomjanovich, candidate for NBA Coach of the Year this year after taking a team that didn't make the playoffs last year, winning 55 regular season games, and turning Houston into a defensive monster.
Now Stanley Roberts trying to push Olajuwon out of there just a little bit farther.
There's a double on Olajuwon again. Outside Maxwell into the paint. The jumper by Vernon. Nope. Rebound pulled away by Stanley Roberts. 9 boards tonight for Roberts. Under a minute to go. 75-70 Houston. Roberts muscles away inside. Nice move by Stanley Roberts. He has 14.
Well, I think it is very, very important for him to continue to go there.
And he hasn't come close to the kind of foul trouble he's been in throughout this series. Roberts only 2 fouls tonight. And he's been out there for a lot of minutes.
Well, as I say, Stanley Roberts active on offense, forces Olajuwon to stay at home, takes away a lot of those chances from the double team going the other way.
Well, there's number 3 on Stanley.
Well, this is a tough time for foul number 3 to come. 29 seconds to go, and I think Larry Brown will get him out of the game. You don't want him to pick up number 4 here. They would like to have him able to work with 3 in the 4th period.
Olajuwon misses the first effort. He is now 5 out of 7 from the line tonight.
And that's another reason why Stanley Roberts really can't get in the flow to keep that rhythm going, because every time he seems to turn it on, he picks up a foul or 2 and he has to leave the game.
Well, tonight he's played 21 minutes.
And that's good.
That's 3 more minutes than he played in all of game 3 when he fouled out. And of course, there's still a full quarter to go. Olajuwon with 1 more. And a loose ball foul is going to be called underneath on Carl Herrera. But they had a foul to give there, so Clippers don't go to the line yet. Now Bullard checks back in, replacing Hakeem Olajuwon. As we can see, a lot of superstars. The coach will get him out of there at the end of the third and the first quarter sometime to give him the final 30 seconds off, plus the break between quarters. And maybe a minute or so into the fourth quarter, and then they come back fresh.
I think you'll see him with about 10 minutes to go. He'll come back in and be fresh for the final part of the game.
Clock shot down to 7. Jackson in the paint. Jackson again trying to beat the clock. And we're going to call this one. On Carl Herrera, his second.
He got the worst of that in a lot of ways.
Got the foul, took the spill.
Took the spill, hit his head on the floor, I think.
And Danny Manning will be going to the line for the Clippers.
Another look at the action right here as Mark Jackson got to the basket once again. And there's the push right there. Danny Manning threw him to the floor. A lot of action.
Mannington out with 16 points. Rockets by 2. Back to within 1. 75-74 Rockets. Maxwell trying to beat the buzzer with a half-court shot. And it's 75-74 Rockets with 1 quarter to go here at the LA Sports Arena.
Did you ever think what a minute could cost if your 800 service goes down?
Welcome back to the LA Sports Arena. 75-74 Rockets as we go to the fourth quarter. Houston trying to win this series 3-1 tonight. The Clippers, of course, trying to stay alive and send it back to Houston for a game 5.
Pete, I think what is important for the Clippers down the stretch here if they're going to win this ball game, number one, if they can get out in the break, that's good. If they are forced to go to their half-court offense, Stanley Roberts has been working well enough that he should at least touch the ball when he is in there. The other thing is Danny Manning, a good opportunity for him here to take over this game and get some offense going.
Final quarter play is underway with Connor, Williams, Grant, Harper, and Manning out there for the Clippers.
They're going to try to make Vernon Maxwell play some defense here.
They almost turned the ball over under 4 seconds left down the shot clock. Gary Grant on the board for the first time tonight, his first 2 points. And the Clippers have regained the lead, 76-75. Carl Herrera swings the lead back Houston's way. 77-76 in the opening minute of the final quarter.
The last time they tried to force Vernon Maxwell to guard that guy right there, he broke free that time. Vernon Maxwell, of course, trying to get back in the flow. They're going to try to use him.
21 tonight for Harper. 78-77 Clippers. Team almost now does cause the turnover. Williams to Grant, stolen by Scott Brooks, but he couldn't control it out of bounds off Brooks.
I think the double team by the Clippers has been much more effective when they come with a taller player. That time around Harper came in. Actually the last 2 or 3 times Harper has come down for the double team. Olajuwon has no problem looking over Jackson, looking over Grant. It makes it a tougher double team.
Danny Manning baseline. Olajuwon the rebound. 16 rebounds tonight for Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem gets the ball. There's the double. Now outside. Winston Garland unguarded. And he's done a good job of hitting those open jumpers when his man has left him. 8 assists tonight for Hakeem Olajuwon.
Well, what happened is, Grant, as he came down for the double team, Olajuwon brought the ball back towards him because, as I say, he has no trouble looking over Grant, or the smaller guard. When he went up for the shot, his elbow got Grant in the mouth area and caused the injury. Now you'll see the double team by Grant. Olajuwon, as he goes up for the shot, right there, hits him right on the chin and forced that injury right there. You see Grant responding to the elbow to the mouth.
But he's okay. 10:05 to go. Pete Van Wieren and Jack Gibbons with you from the LA Sports Arena. 10:05 remaining in Game 4. With the Houston Rockets leading the LA Clippers 79-78. The Rockets trying to wrap up round 1 tonight. Clippers trying to send it back to Houston in Game 5.
Oh, they want to get Manning involved. They're going to him every time down now.
Gary Grant gets that one to fall. He's hit a couple of key baskets here in his fourth quarter. His first 4 points of the night. Clippers have the lead back by 1. And almost causing another turnover. Harper trying to tie up Olajuwon now. A scrambling Houston team doing everything they can to maintain control of the ball.
And a scrambling Clipper defense. Illegal John Williams.
That is the first whistle for illegal D against either side tonight. And a timeout with 9:25 to go.
When it's this hot outside,
Clippers throwing a series of double teams at Olajuwon to try to force him to give the ball up. You see Harper right here, and I think they've been more effective with the taller player going down for the double team. It forces Hakeem away from the basket. Then the Rockets have to struggle or have to scramble offensively, and it forces the turnover here, and it gets them going the other way.
And tonight's Dutch boy in the paint. Pretty even battle on the boards. Clippers up 35-34. Olajuwon having a big night, but Roberts staying a little closer to him tonight instead of being shut out like he was in Game 3.
And the fact that Olajuwon has better numbers than Stanley Roberts, not really all that surprising, but the thing is, Stanley Roberts has been able to stay on the floor, didn't score the last game, picked up 6 fouls.
Scott Brooks.
Great job.
Smooth by Scott Brooks, his 4th point. And the Rockets lead it again.
Well, no secret why Rudy Tomjanovich likes to have him on the floor down the stretch.
Manning, a tough shot attempt there by Danny Manning. He was fouled by Carl Herrera. That's Herrera's 3rd.
Scott Brooks in the series. 4 assists for every 1 turnover that he makes. And he just simply does not make the mistakes down the stretch. He plays the 4th period most of the time.
Manning at the line tonight. He has 17 points, but not a good shooting night from outside tonight. Just 5 of 16, as you see from the field. He is 7 of 8 from the free throw line.
The thing is, Danny Manning has been active, and he is the kind of guy that has to get to the free throw line a lot. He's been there tonight. Really has not been there much in this series because he hasn't shot the ball well. He's passed up a lot of shots because of that, and he just hasn't had the opportunities to draw the foul.
And the Rockets defensive specialist Carl Herrera is in the game now, guarding Manning. The Clippers have the lead back, 8:55 to go.
You know, it's all right having Herrera in there right now against Manning because I think Manning, even though Herrera is an excellent defensive player, Manning has his confidence now, and he should be able to at least get to the free throw line.
Foul on Grant is his 2nd. Maxwell will inbounds it. And now Robert Horry is going to replace Vernon Maxwell. So Vernon Maxwell saw his first action in the last 2 weeks. And it looks like he is going to be able to play at least some with that cast on his left wrist.
I think really that's all Rudy wanted to find out. Wanted to know if he could go.
Brooks from outside. Not this time. Offensive rebound. Thorpe outside Horry for 3. Nope. Battle for the rebound. There's Hakeem Olajuwon with number 17 of the night. And Hakeem Olajuwon wanting to know why no whistle.
You know, really in this series, the Clippers have done a very good job on the defensive board.
Yeah, they have.
They don't give up a lot of offensive rebounds. It's just that when it seems when the Rockets really need one, they can go in there and get it.
22nd timeout's going to be called here by Houston. 8:27 to go in the game. Rockets down by 1.
Another look at this defense here. Manning as the double teamer on Hakeem makes it a much tougher double team for the Rockets to beat. The problem is, as I say here, they give up 2 or 3 second and third shots to basket here.
Larry Brown has seen his team play very different games each game in this series.
That's
were
really
totally outplayed in game 1. They surprised the world when they came back in game 2 and beat Houston in Houston. Then came back here full of vim and vigor, waiting to go into game 3. They had a bunch of T-shirts they passed out saying "We believe," and then they came out here and played awful in game 3.
Well, that's really been the Rockets over the course. Excuse me, the Clippers over the course of the season. Very much up and down.
Winston Garland coming around the screen, and I tell you what, he has done a great job tonight when he's been able to get himself open. 12 points for Winston Garland. The Rockets are back on top by 1. This whistle is going to be against the Houston Rockets. Robert Horry called for his second. Team foul number 2. Ken Norman checks in, replacing Gary Grant for the Clippers. Stanley Roberts tonight, 26 minutes. And only 3 fouls. So that's one area that Larry Brown has got to be pleased with tonight.
Now that's the kind of ball movement you need right there. Good job by Thorpe.
And again, you're seeing Danny Manning a little bit reluctant to shoot the ball, and he gets it quickly.
Right.
Kenny Norman has not been able to get that jump shot going throughout the entire series. Norman tonight is 5 of 11. He's only been shooting 33% in this series. Garland open again. This time couldn't get the jumper to fall. Norman the rebound. And once again, the Clippers can grab the lead. 7.5 minutes to go. Stanley Roberts counts the basket. And a chance for a 3-point play. Otis Thorpe called for the foul, his second. And the big man from LSU is playing big tonight. And you see now why Larry Brown has so much confidence in the kind of player he can become.
He does so many good things, just natural stuff that surprises you when you realize how big the guy is. Now he catches that one in traffic, does not hesitate, doesn't fumble it at all, goes up for the shot and gets the basket to go down.
Misses the free throw. 0 for 3 from the line tonight. Roberts has 16 points. Clippers have a 1-point lead. Ball belongs to Houston. Clipper fans don't agree. A seesaw 4th quarter here. Hakeem Olajuwon over the double team. Rebound out of bounds. The Clippers thought Otis Thorpe touched it last, so did Larry Brown.
Yeah, from this angle, it looked like Thorpe might have gotten a hand on it, but he has been around the basket this entire game. Because of the double teams, there's just no one big enough on the weak side to put a body on Thorpe to keep him out of there. Watch for the illegal defense.
Hakeem gets it outside. Brooks the 3. He drains the 3-pointer. Scott Brooks has 7. And the Rockets lead it by 2 now, 86-84. That is our 9th lead change.
He just makes good decisions.
Danny Manning finds it open. Kenny Norman. Olajuwon trying to block the shot.
I think Olajuwon got a full ball. going to pick up foul number 4. Good job by the Clippers attacking the basket.
So Hakeem in a little bit of foul trouble now. It's 4. 6:33 is the time left. Rockets up by 2.
TNT original production. 30 years ago, the U.S. government conducted...
Imagine it has gotten very physical on the inside. Good move by Larry Brown, putting Danny Manning on Olajuwon in order to keep Stanley Roberts in the game more, keep him out of foul trouble. That has been a pretty good matchup. The double teams coming and forcing Olajuwon to give it up. But Manning dishing it out on one end. He has to take it on the other as Thorpe pushes him out just a little bit. It's very physical down there.
And it's 86-84 Houston. You see what just happened out there during the timeout? Kenny Norman came out to the free throw line. The basketball had been set down on the free throw line by one of the officials. Kenny picked it up and was just practicing his free throw shooting.
Yeah, the way he shoots it, he needs a little practice. He's 59% on the season, less than that here in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's only 1 for 2 tonight.
Oh, this is really hard for me to figure out. The guy shoots the ball well from the outside. He has pretty decent form on the shot. And why in the world he can't make better free throw? He's not a better free throw shooter than that. I just can't figure it out. Watch the form. I mean, he lets it go. He stays with the follow through. That time he does get it to go off the rim.
12 points tonight for Norman. A 1-point Rocket lead again with 6.5 minutes remaining.
Great job by Harper screening Olajuwon off the boards that time.
10 rebounds for Roberts. Norman will get another trip to the free throw line. Robert Horry called for his third.
Now, the reason the crowd got pretty loud that time, they thought it was Olajuwon that picked up the foul. He bought the pump fake, but did a good job of avoiding the body contact.
Back to the line, Kenny Norman. He can tie it up. Well, he still has a chance to tie it up. He has now missed 3 times tonight. Tomorrow night, TNT doubleheader time again. The New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers. Game 4 in that series. Knicks up 2 games to 1. In Game 2, Phoenix and the Lakers. Lakers up 2 games to 1.
That's sure. And the air ball. I mean, got an air ball. I just can't understand it.
It's got to be just a mental game.
Well, it's mental.
It's a mental game.
I think free throw shooting, about 85% of it is mental. I mean, if you step up to the line thinking you can make the free throw, if you have good form, you're going to make most of it.
Norman now 2 of 6 from the line tonight. And a foul call against Danny Manning, and Manning now has picked up his 4th.
Well, see, now, if Stanley Roberts were down there guarding Olajuwon, that would be a foul on Stanley Roberts because a lot of his fouls come by reaching around.
Rockets looking at by 1, trying to sew up this series. Game 1 in Houston, the Rockets won at 117-94. Game 2, the Clippers upset the Rockets in Houston, 95-83. Then in Game 3 here on Monday night, it was a 111-99 Rockets win.
Well, Garland can't touch the ball. He can't touch the ball. Stanley Roberts did not touch it, and he almost got away with one. Watch right here as Winston Garland goes up for the shot. He just loses control of it. He can't pick it up. Now you see Stanley Roberts didn't touch it on that. He almost got away with it.
So the Clippers a chance to regain the lead here. And we have had 8 lead changes in this 4th quarter alone. Danny Manning's baseline jumper, no. Battle for the rebound. Winning a loose ball foul call against Hakeem. That is 5 on Hakeem Olajuwon. And tonight it's Olajuwon, the man in foul trouble.
Even more reason for the Clippers now to come down and go right at Stanley Roberts. Give him a chance to work against Olajuwon.
Norman 2 out of 6 from the line tonight. Yeah. 2 out of 7.
It's unbelievable.
He's upset. Danny Manning and Mark Jackson over to encourage him. And this crowd here at the LA Sports Arena on its feet to encourage him. And the Rockets are going to take a timeout here. 5:42 remaining. Clippers trailing by 1.
Introducing the new Subaru Impreza airbag.
here in the fourth quarter. Danny Manning 9 of 10 from the free throw line tonight. The rest of the Clippers just 4 of 13. They're only shooting 57% from the line tonight. They have only shot in this entire series 67% from the line.
You know, Pete, I said earlier in this game, the good thing about the poor free throw shooting that we've seen in this series is that every game has been a blowout, and the free throw shooting has not come into play. Here tonight, with this game very, very close, it puts a whole lot more emphasis on making the free throws. Kenny Norman 2 of 7. Well, see here, look at his form. I mean, everything is now. The follow through was not real good that time, but it did go down. He has pretty good form. It's hard to figure why he's not a better free throw shooter.
He has 13 points. We're tied at 86. Another record at stake here. The lowest free throw percentage ever in a 4-game series. 657 by Seattle back in '89. Clippers aren't shooting it that well in this series. And now a chance for the Clippers to regain the lead.
You can see the effects of that double team on Olajuwon. He is now stepping away from the basket. Also, as he sees the double team coming, he's falling away on the shot.
Olajuwon in there with 5 personal fouls. Stanley Roberts spins around. Hakeem Olajuwon couldn't get the shot to fall. Norman couldn't get the follow to fall. And the rebound pulled away by Robert Horry. Under 5 minutes remaining. Tied at 86. There's the double. Garland open. He's been hitting these all night. Not that time. Rebound pulled away by Stanley Roberts. Number 11. Mark Jackson into the paint. Rebound, Harper. No, the basket won't count. They're going to call an offensive foul.
Now, Stanley Roberts over the back, I think, will get called for that one. It was a late whistle, probably would not have sounded had the Rockets come up with the rebound. Instead, now watch as Mark Jackson goes up. He wanted the foul. Watch Stanley Roberts over the back.
That is his 4th.
And you see how late the whistle came.
4.5 minutes to go. Game tied at 86. Near steal by Danny Manning. Gary Grant's going to check back into the Clipper lineup. He is in there for Ken Norman.
Now, for the first time tonight, Stanley Roberts is guarding Olajuwon. Danny Manning had been on him. Roberts must understand that he has 4 now. He has to play him very aggressively in the jump ball.
And he tied up Hakeem that time.
Good defense. Stanley Roberts has played a lot of minutes. You see him breathing rather heavily. I've pointed out a couple of times that's normally when he picks up the foul. A lot of times, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you'll see a player pick up a foul in order to stop the clock, just to have a chance to catch his breath. He won't have to do that as the timeout has been called.
We've got a timeout by the Clippers. 4:18 to go in the game.
And sometimes triple teaming of Hakeem Olajuwon. He has not been effective here in the 4th period. Watch right here as the double team comes, and then Mark Jackson's going to hang out there, try to wait for the pass. Harper is right there also, and it forces the double to tie up by Stanley Roberts as Olajuwon had to step away from the defense.
Jackson, Harper, Grant, Stanley Roberts, Danny Manning out there for the Clippers. Brooks, Garland, Bullard, Olajuwon, and Otis Thorpe for the Houston Rockets. Larry Brown hoping to send the series back to Houston. 4:15 to go. Down it goes to Hakeem. He got away from Stanley that time. His first points of the 4th quarter, 23 points tonight. He has 23 points, 17 rebounds, 9 assists, and 5 block shots. But having a tough time here in the 4th quarter. He has put the Rockets back on top. 88-86. Right back to Mark Jackson. Short. Stanley Roberts had it, lost it. Last touch by Houston.
The problem with that play the last time, as the Clippers tried to go down to Stanley Roberts, Mark Jackson was much too close. Needs to spread out just a little bit, put more distance between himself and Stanley Roberts, and make it more difficult for the double team.
Quick shot by Danny Manning wouldn't fall. And now the Rockets can open up a 4-point lead. Roberts, 18th rebound. Into the paint, Hakeem Olajuwon is beginning to assert himself now in this fourth quarter. 25 points and a 4-point Rockets lead.
Tell you what, the last 2 times he's touched the ball, the double team very slow in coming. He's been able to step through right to the basket.
The Clippers hoping this one's not going to get away now, calling another timeout. 3:12 is left. It's the Houston Rockets trying to clinch this series tonight, leading it by 4. Let's go to Ernie Johnson back in our Atlanta studios.
All right, Pete, for the second time tonight, pretty darn good ball game here on TNT. Game 1 of our doubleheader, Boston and Charlotte. The Hornets won it. I know from 2 years ago, Chuck Person, in the playoffs.
That was that free throw by Ken Norman in the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So they need to find somebody with a hot hand out there to get back in this game. They're down by 4.
Now, the thing that has worked for him a lot here is getting the ball down to Stanley Roberts. Stanley not quite as good at handling the double team, finding the open man to pass to, but that might be the thing that will work for him.
Right back to Jackson. Harper drawing the double team. 3 minutes to go. Gary Grant rattles one offensive board. Put back Stanley Roberts. Roberts is playing big tonight. 18 points. 12 rebounds tonight.
You can't play sitting over there on the bench.
Rockets by 2, 2:40 remaining.
Seems as though tonight he understands that. Once again, credit Larry Brown also with the change defensively.
Good defense that time by Ron Harper, who tips the ball to Grant. Clippers can tie it up here. Harper back outside. Jackson is swinging around to Danny Manning. He'll take it over Thorpe. No. This time Robert Horry pulls away the rebound. Manning now 5 of 19 tonight from the field.
And good shots just like that. I mean, that's a good shot for Danny Manning. High percentage.
Just over 2 minutes to go in the game. Maybe just over 2 minutes to go in the Clippers season. Gary Grant picking up his third. Rockets leading it by 2.
The Clippers with just 3 team fouls here in this period. Now let's see how quickly the double team comes. Better that time.
2 minutes remaining. 3 if it goes. Jackson the rebound.
Great job,
Danny. Tie it up.
Great job, Danny Manning, screening Olajuwon off the board.
Manning muscles it under to Stanley Roberts. We are tied at 90.
Great hands Stanley Roberts has. Great hands. Catches the ball very well in traffic. Danny Manning with the draw. Pulled the defense to him. Olajuwon came for the block. He can't do that when Stanley Roberts is on the floor.
20 points tonight for Stanley Roberts. Game tied at 90. There's the double on Olajuwon.
Once again, good double team.
Now they get it down to Otis Thorpe, working on Roberts. He blocks the shot. Stanley Roberts having a huge game tonight, after literally not showing up in game 3. A minute 13 to go, tied at 90.
Well, I'd go right back with some penetration to try to find Stanley Roberts. Olajuwon is going to come for the block attempt.
And it's stripped away by Houston. Winston Garland. And now the Rockets, with 1 minute remaining, a chance to regain the lead. And a timeout's going to be called here by the Houston Rockets with 57 seconds remaining in the game, tied at 90.
I'll tell you, Pete, the thing that has been good for the Clippers here in this period has been some penetration either by Danny Manning, either by Mark Jackson, and since Olajuwon will come for the block attempt, watch right here. There he is. He comes over for the block, and with Stanley Roberts in there, that takes that away. Hakeem has to stay at home. He comes that time. Stanley gets the dunk. And then they've done a good job with the double team. Now Stanley Roberts right here gets the benefit of the doubt. Right here. Good defensive play, and that starts the fast break.
Houston with a pair of timeouts remaining. The Clippers have just one timeout remaining. 57.7 seconds is the time left here in Game 4. Larry Brown giving out his instructions to the Clippers. Got to give the Clippers credit after the way they played in Game 3. They had a pretty good game plan coming into Game 4 tonight.
Well, I think the one thing that probably made the most difference was putting Danny Manning down on Olajuwon and coming with the double teams from that angle. It kept Stanley Roberts on the floor longer tonight. That has worked very well for them.
Stanley Roberts tonight has played 26 minutes, 10 of 16 from the field, 12 rebounds, 20 points. Only one turnover. He's blocked 2 shots.
Look for the Rockets coming out of this timeout to try to go to Hakeem on the low post. They'll try to force the double team as they have all night. The Clippers will have to come. The ball movement has not been as good in this game for the Rockets as it was in Game 3. Matt Bullard now on the floor for the Rockets. He will be on the weak side. He will spot up for the shot from the outside when the double team comes and the ball reverses.
Neither team with any fouls to give. Clippers 1 timeout left. Houston 2. Rockets ball. Bullard will inbounds it. Seconds left on the shot clock. 2 left on the shot clock. Hakeem Olajuwon misfires. Another rebound. Stanley Roberts is 13th. Clippers on the run. And a foul is going to be called on Winston Garland. His first foul of the night. It couldn't have come at a worse time for Houston.
Well, the problem with Winston Garland in right now is he will not get the respect as, say, a Kenny Smith or some of the other Rocket players. He has done a good job over his career. He has been excellent at this time of the year. A 14-point-per-game player in the score in the playoffs, but he does not get the call that time. The free throw shooting, we've talked about it. Magnified here in the game since it is a close ball game.
Clippers now just 14 of 26 from the free throw line tonight. And Jackson, normally a pretty good free throw shooter. 80% during the regular season. Coming into this game in this series, he was a 94% shooter from the line. But tonight, just 1 for 3. Now he can put the Clippers up by 1.
Look real good. 15 of 16 coming into this game from the free throw line. He knocks that one down.
Clippers have a 1-point lead with 33.2 seconds to go.
What's in the bag? Lunch. Big Mac.
2 seconds remaining. The lead has changed 13 times in his 4th quarter alone.
I didn't think there was anything that could happen in this game to top the finish of the first ball game. I think we might just do it here.
You know, when the first 2 games in this series were played in Houston, in Game 2, Hubie Brown was saying he couldn't believe how different a looking Clipper team he saw in Game 2 than in Game 1 in that series. We can say the same thing about Game 3 and Game 4.
Sure, they have looked like totally different teams. I think the one thing that probably has meant the most for the Clippers here tonight, they came into this game with the look in their eyes that they were happy to be here. They were excited about playing the game. I didn't sense that from them in Game 3.
Brooks, Garland, Bullard, Olajuwon, and Thorpe for the Rockets. Roberts, Jackson, Norman, Harper, and Manning for the Clippers. Rockets down by 1.
Well, it's real interesting. They have gone away from Olajuwon to the other side.
Hakeem Olajuwon trying to give him back the lead. Tipped by Thorpe, wouldn't go. Ball still belongs to Houston. 16.8 seconds to go.
See if Rudy T. burns another timeout here.
He's only got 1 left.
He has 1 left.
time. Rebound pulled away by Jackson. And a quick foul to stop the clock with 6.1 seconds left. Wow. Scott Brooks called for the foul. Billy Crystal's liking this. So are about 14,000 other Clipper fans. This one might be going back to Houston, folks.
Now the key here, of course, is the fact that the Clippers have not been real good from the free throw line. Mark Jackson, the one guy on this team that should be able to step up and knock a couple down. Olajuwon got a couple good shots at the basket. Didn't get him to go.
Jackson. Now 3 of 5. Clippers by 2. Here comes Gary Grant in, replacing Ken Norman. Now remember, if the Clippers are able to get that lead up to 3, or even if they aren't, Rockets have some outstanding three-point shooters.
And they do have one timeout left, so they will get the ball in the front court.
Clippers by 3. Timeout Houston, 6.1 seconds to go. And if the Clippers can hold on, there will be a game 5 in this series. Sports Arena really jumping now.
Well, you see the foul right here. Olajuwon had a really good look at the basket. The thing that the Clippers did that time, they rebounded well on the weak side as the double team went over to Olajuwon. Thorpe had been there all night, and look at the reaction on the bench.
Clippers wearing those I Believe t-shirts the last 2 days at their practices. And maybe their biggest fan of all, Billy Crystal, hardly ever misses a game when he's in town here. There's the I Believe t-shirts. The Clipper dancers wearing them too. Those came out after Game 2 when they beat the Houston Rockets in Houston.
You know, and that's another reason why I was kind of surprised we didn't get a better game out of the Clippers in Game 3. They came back from Houston. Larry Brown was going to give them the day off. The team got together and said, no, we want to come in, shoot around. We want to keep this that we have coming out of that game. But they didn't come tonight. You've seen the look in their face. You saw them right from the beginning taking it to the Rockets, and they played a much better game.
I think these guys know, Jack, that this may be their last year this particular group is together. They got so many guys who could become free agents. You got Kenny Norman can become an unrestricted free agent. Greg Grant, a restricted free agent, or Gary Grant rather. They have to decide whether to pick up the $4 million option year on Ron Harper's contract.
And they're not sure if they're going to do that.
Andy Manning, all the talk about whether they should trade him or sign him back for 1 year, but then he can become unrestricted.
Now that guy you saw, Matt Bullock, he's the guy that can knock it down. Kenny Smith back in the game. There's a delayed game as Larry Brown got a quick look at what the Rockets might want to do. They will guard the three-point line.
Brooks launching one and won't go, and the Los Angeles Clippers have sent this series to a 5th game in Houston. They bounced back in Game 2 in Houston. They bounced back in Game 4 here at the LA Sports Arena. 93-90 Clippers.
Well, just the kind of game they needed. And the guy who really has to feel good right now is Stanley Roberts, as he was able to stay in the ball game here tonight.
And he's headed over our way. This series tied up at 2 games apiece. The Clippers have done the improbable again, sending this series to a Game 5 back at the Summit in Houston. And joining us now, Stanley Roberts. And Stanley, for the last 2 days, I'm sure all you've been reading and hearing about. Is he hearing me? You hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. I'm sure the only thing you've been reading and hearing about has been the fact that you fouled out of Game 3. That's been the talk of this town for the last 2 days. Tonight, a completely different story.
Oh, yeah. You know, they told me to stay in the game, you know, give up some easy shots at the beginning. We made a switch. They put me on Otis and put Danny on King to keep me in the game, and, you know, it worked out for the best.
Big Stan, I thought the move of the game came before the game even started, and that is the fact that you just mentioned Larry Brown decided to take you off of Elijah
for the Utah Jazz. Utah came in with a 2-1 series edge, and we're coming off a game in which they played superbly defensively against the Supersonics. But here is what happened tonight. John Stockton feeds the mailman. Karl Malone delivers, scores, hacked in the act, three-point play, and we're tied up at the halftime break. Now in the second half, the Sonics come out strong. Sean Kemp.
With the score tied, the Knicks had a chance to win this one in regulation.
Starks to Ewing from 19. Starks puts it back and misses. It's an overtime.
In the next 5 minutes, Rivers ruled. Doc connected on a trio of trays. The Knicks scored a KO in OT.
The Pacers showed a lot of heart. We didn't knock out the heavyweight Chet, but we staggered him a few times.
Once on the brink of being swept, the Suns tied things up with the Lakers last night. L.A. tried twice but failed to pull off the first-round upset at home. 28 from Sir Charles sent the series to Phoenix for Game 5. The Sonics can go home again as well, forcing a decisive fifth game with a 13-point win at Utah. Eddie Johnson's 13 in the fourth told the tale. Here's the story on TNT. Tonight the Cavs can clinch. Cleveland got big-time production from the front line in Game 3. And with New Jersey's Sam Bowie out, the banged-up Nets need another bang-up performance from Derek Coleman if they want to avoid elimination. And later, the Blazers will try to stave off an early playoff exit as they man the torpedoes and take aim at the Admiral. David Robinson and the Spurs will try to apply the finishing touch on their home floor. It's another playoff doubleheader as the beat goes on. TNT.